I'm James Pratt, and welcome to Chess Comedy Books. I've got a few books to show here, which I've been sent for review by Everyman, which is a very long-established publishing house. And I'm just going to begin by showing you one of them. Here it is. It is First Steps 1e4, e5. In other words, good old pawn to king 4 and pawn to king 4 in response. It is a book written by John Emms, who is an English grandmaster, originally comes from East Anglia. Now I suspect he's moved. And it is quite good, I think, probably. It's got over 300 pages, and it's got some complete games in it. Here's an index. I think there's probably about 35 or 40 complete games. John Emms doesn't play very much, but when he does, he normally performs at about 25, 50 level. In other words, I would consider him to be in the top, help me, 600 or 700 players in the world. I can only repeat, if he played more, he would do better, but he does other things. So he has a family to bring up and a publishing company to run. And this is a book I received for review. It deals with, let's get down to cases. It deals with the Italian game, the Evans Gambit, the two knights defense, the Ruy Lopez, the four knights game, the Scotch game, and other openings, and then it gives some recommendations. I'm not quite certain what the recommendations were. Give up chess, probably in my case. No, it gives just some suggestions of lines that you might study further. Yes, I thought it would be helpful to list a brief summary of the main recommendations. So there it is. The book sells for $17.99. And it is very up to date. There's lots of diagrams. There we are, let me show you them. There's lots of diagrams like that. It's very modern in approach and nicely laid out. As you go through the games, it throws in questions. Can you find White's follow-up to the Bishop Sacrifice? Well, if you can't, you wish you hadn't played the Bishop Sacrifice. So I hope jolly well that you can find the follow-up. It looks at all sorts of sharp lines. John has written a number of books like this before, and so therefore here he is updating his knowledge and updating his readership. And I would really very strongly recommend this, even if your knowledge of chess is fairly basic. Providing you can play through games you understand about notation. And if you don't, well, you could look in a book or there's bound to be things on Google that could show you about it. Deals with a number of gambit lines, the usual things, mostly recent games. There we are. I like it very much. And as I say, and I can only repeat, for $17.99, it's a very, very good bargain. Here we have more richer meat. It is by Simon Williams, who is a grandmaster, very active in the media, not so active as a player, and Richard Palliser, who is an international master, not quite as good as Simon, but for all of that. And their collaboration has produced a book of great depth, and they are talking about a set structure. Simon Williams was taught the English Open at the age of 6, means an excellent choice, and it lays out a game plan, the so-called Botvinnik formation with 2 knight c3. You played c4, and I suppose he's done e5 back again, and then knight c3, and then 3 g3, bishop g2, 5 e4, and 6 bishop knight g e2. In other words, you leave a hole in your position, but you put a clamp on the center with particular pressure from the knight on c3, the pawn on c4, the pawn on e4, and distantly the bishop on g2 on d5. So what you're doing is you're taking a small risk strategically, but firstly, you haven't had that imposed upon you. You yourself have consented to it at the very outset. So in that regard, it's quite important that we draw that distinction. It's got, I mean, if you look at the depth of discussion there, I mean, that's all about one move. I mean, some books do little or nothing other than list moves, but here we have a lot of explanation, and I wouldn't consider almost any of this. I've looked at every page, I haven't, but I wouldn't consider this padding in any way. It is background. Yes, I was right. It's about c4 and knight f6, or c4, the English opening e5. Yes. Game here by the world champion, Magnus Carlsen. So that's not too bad, is it? Game here by Simon Williams, who is not the world champion, but is the joint author with Richard Palliser, who has been editor of Chess, the magazine Chess, Malcolm Payne's magazine, which is based in Baker Street in London. Yes, it mentions it goes right back to the time of Howard Staunton, and that's the reason that it's called the English opening, because Staunton was English. And it mentions Botvinnik, who gave his name to the setup, which they are examining. It is 19.99, nearly £20, in other words. And if you want to look at this and other Everyman books, go to www.everymanchess, all in one word, .com, and you will see that they have lots and lots of books on chess. Most of them recent, most of them written by young masters, grandmasters, and internationally titled players, and all of them, but all of them will be worthy of your time and effort. And I would consider most of them, if not all, possibly all even, to be bargains. I mean, really, okay, it's not in hard covers, but if you look at this, it's pretty substantially bound, and the discussion will last you a lifetime. If you were to play through bits and bobs of all of this, even using 2 sets or a computer, or even somebody who is teaching you to go along and pick out bits and explain them in more detail and compare them with your own games, which is what people like to do, then I would think a book like that would last you a lifetime. There's really no higher praise. So I'll just give you the title again. It's in the series Opening Repertoire, and it's called The Iron English. Thank you. And the earlier one, in case you want to write it down, is called First Steps, and it is not a dancing book, but it is a book that I like very much, about 1e4, e5, the open games. It deals with various positions that's likely to come in club games in particular. Very, very strongly recommended. Thank you.